flickering in and out of existence at the speed of light, so fast that it looks solid. We're just spinning very, 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 very fast. Number 4. Every observer. Every observer. Does anyone know the end of this one?
Affects the outcome.
Affects, and I like to say experiment. Yep. Every observer affects the experiment is my words, but outcome and observed are both same frequency. Every observer affects the experiment. So when we're talking about quantum physics, actually this was one of the earliest examples that there was such a thing as quantum physics. So, so picture you're driving a car and you've got your headlight, and both of the headlights work. You're driving a car and you've got your headlights on, and you see those lights, and they cross in the middle. And where they cross, that's where it's the brightest, right? So that's why we can see the best there. That's why it's set up that way. So we have these two lights, and they cross. And so this experiment was done where the question was, okay, what happens to the particles of light? If we just take a single particle of light and we observe it going through a really tiny slit so that only one particle can come out, and we've got these particles, what happens? Well, so what they found was that if you take a particle of light and you beam it through, okay, everything's about to get weird. Like everything that we think is the way it's supposed to be, it turns out to go a completely different direction. So you would think that that particle is going to come through that slit and it's going to go off on some angle, and we're going to look at we're going to be able to measure the trajectory, or we're going to be able to measure the distance and the speed. What actually happened was that particle acted as if the other light particle was interacting with it. So even though there was only the one particle, it was still interacting quantumly with the other particles. So, okay, so this is one of the earliest examples. One of the things that has been found in quantum physics is that when experiments are made, the researcher that's in charge of creating the experiment has to be a different researcher that conducts the experiment, because our beliefs affect the outcome. So if I believe that this is going to go this particular way, it may very well actually affect the experiment. Somebody else has to do it that does not have that same belief to see if the experiment can be replicated. That's kind of crazy, isn't it? That's where the meat slides out of the sandwich, and we're in a whole different realm here. So
you're gonna need some sleep.
you are going to need some sleep after this, all this crazy thing. Okay, so number 5, every human being, along with every material thing in the universe, broadcasts its own energy frequency. And that's why the SRC computer program can so powerfully assist the energetic healing process. Every material thing, every human being, along with every material thing in the universe, broadcasts its own frequency. Now, we all have experience with this. For example, if you walk into a room and the vibe is very, well, I mean, okay, so let's say you walk into like a funeral, right? The vibe is going to be pretty heavy, right? There's a lot of sadness, there's a lot of processing. And so we feel that energy. You know, we're not probably going to walk in with a party hat on and kicking and screaming unless you had grandma like mine, in which case that's kind of what you're doing, because that's what she was all about. But it's a different frequency, right? Okay, so we can feel those energy frequencies, and we can feel that frequency, and all of our different emotions have different frequencies too. So emotions like hate and fear, relatively, where would you guess that they would be? Are they going to be high, or are they going to be low?
Low.
They're low resonant frequencies, right? Yeah. And emotions like joy and love and compassion, what would you feel those would be? High. Right. The cool thing is that these are actually all exponentially more powerful. So it isn't just a low and a high, like on the same scale. It's love and compassion can easily overcome huge amounts of hate and crud, because it's so much more powerful. Okay, number 6. Once two particles can be linked in some way, they will always be linked. They will always affect one another. So now we're going to get into subatomic particles for a moment. So going into the smaller parts of the atom. So experiments done. So these, when we get into the subatomic particles, these particles, they have a spin. They're moving all the time, in conjunction with one another. And what has been found is that if you take these particles and you move them away from each other, they keep moving as if they're in the same space. They keep staying in concert. They keep dancing together. Even if you move them very far apart, like feet or miles, they still stay in the same space. Most recently, this experiment was conducted with particle that was on Earth and on the moon, and the same thing happened. I would love to get to see the instruments that measure this, because I think that that's really amazing.
Yeah.
But yes, so once two particles can be linked in some way, they will always affect one another. So quite literally, this is the quantum physics foundation for the golden rule. Quite literally, what we do unto others, what is the golden rule? We do unto ourselves, because it all affects one another. We all affect one another. So that's the golden rule. What's the platinum rule?
We can change it.
I like that. So the golden rule is do unto others as you'd have done to you. And what's the platinum rule? Do unto others as they would have done unto them. So if I am vegetarian and I go over to a friend's house to have a delicious meal, and they make me a nice, beautiful, delicious pot roast, then it might not be the best gift for me. It might be a delicious meal, and it might be exactly how they would do. But so doing unto others as they would have done unto them. So how much more of a gift would it be if I went over and it was like stuffed bell peppers, and then it was something that I could really eat and really enjoy and really, really, really love. So I have, by the way, side note, just a little bit, is that I have been vegetarian, I've been vegan, I've been macrobiotic, I've been raw, I've been paleo, I've done keto, I've done, all these different things. So I love cooking for people, whatever style they eat, because I've done it. It's so nice when you can go someplace and you can eat the food that you want to eat. Okay, number 7. The intelligence which keeps our heart beating is in the brain, which is made up of cells.
Of what?
Cells.
Oh, cells.
Cells.
I thought you said salad. And I go, what?
For some people,
She's always trying to get me to eat healthy.
for some people probably.
Which is made up of cells, which are made up, so cells are made up of atoms. Cells are made up of atoms, which are mostly
Energy.
energy. What percent are we? 99.999.
99.999.
Yes, percent energy. Excellent, excellent, excellent. And we talked about the different energy frequencies, and I want to talk for just a moment about a very, very powerful energy frequency. So there are several healing frequencies, but there is one particular frequency that overcomes everything. And of course you all know what it is. It's love. Love really changes everything. And it changes it energetically. So it isn't, there is great, great truth and wisdom and power to, mother kissing the boo-boo on her child's knee, because this sends the energy frequency of love, and it sends a signal to the cells that everything's okay, and it reminds them that they want to be healthy and that they want to heal. So this energy frequency of love really overcomes everything else. I've had so many cases over the years that we have had amazing, miraculous results on, that I can't say that they came to me because I was the expert in that particular field or that particular problem, but because I cared very much, I researched very much, and I prayed very much, and the right information came in for the person. So love really, 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 really changes everything, and it's the most valuable healing modality. So if you remember nothing else about our time together today, then please remember that love changes everything. And then this is one of my quotes from, the very wise and venerable Winnie the Pooh,
Yes.
which is, Piglet says, "Pooh, how do you spell love?" And Pooh says, "You don't spell it, you feel it." Okay, a little bit about energetic anatomy. And so this is, let's stand up for this. So this is a little bit of what's going on in your body. And by the way, we'll be taking a break around 11 o'clock, and we'll have some little bites to eat, and then we'll come back for the rest of it. So the bathrooms, if you need the bathrooms, in the meantime, they're right around the corner, and there's some water out there too. So a little bit of energetic anatomy, and it's the 3 healing centers of the body. So the first and the upper one is you're probably all familiar with. We call this yin tang, and this is also known as the third eye. So this is the upper healing center. The second is, we all know heart chakra, so it's right here in the center. And the third one is the one that most people haven't heard of before. So what you're going to do is you're going to take 3 fingers and you're going to put them right below your belly button, or you can take 4 fingers and stick one in your belly button, whichever you like best. Your 3 fingers right below your belly button, and where the bottom finger lands, this is the lower energy storehouse of the body, also known as the lower dantian. A very powerful way to restore your energy is to take the center of your palm, which is the heart 8, and you're going to put that right over that lower energy storehouse, so right over the dantian. And then you're going to take the other center of the palm, heart 8, and cross it over that. So I want us to take just a moment, and we're just going to let ourselves relax into this. So close your eyes. And breathe through your belly. As you breathe in, feel your legs growing roots all the way down into the ground. And as you breathe out, feel yourself releasing all tiredness, toxins, frustrations. Feel your lower belly expand, relax. Okay, and now open your eyes and relax your hands. How many of you did that feel like a long time for? Were you waiting for me to say stop? Yeah. Sometimes, yeah, right? How many felt like a long time? So that was 1 minute. And you can have a seat. I know, it's funny, right? When we're so busy going, and I've already confessed to you that I worked my way through school, and so I'm a goer, I'm a doer. When we're going so much, it can be very difficult to let the body come into rest. And this is the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system balance, which we'll be talking about a little bit more. When the body comes fully into rest, it actually brings blood flow to different parts of the body. So we call the sympathetic nervous system the fight or flight. We all know this one, right? So what's the analogy that most readily comes to mind for fight or flight? What do you guys think of when you think of fight or flight? The saber-toothed tiger, right? This is the famous analogy, like, something's coming for me. I have to run. I have to. Well, okay, so physiologically when we do that, what we're doing is we do the shallow breathing through the chest. Our pupils dilate. Our whole body gets ready to run. Basically, it shunts blood flow to the parts of the body that need to run away from a predator, a saber-toothed tiger. And how many of us have been chased by a saber-toothed tiger lately? Not at all. In fact, I have rarely in my life ever been in physical danger. Not never, but rarely. And so the number of times, you might have more stories.
Daily.
But the number of times, like my body can go into this sympathetic response while I'm driving down the road with no traffic. But even if there's like other drivers on the road, right? Like I can go into this body can go into like this fight or flight, this oh my god, bad things are going to happen. So I tell the story. There's a really great book on anger written by the Doctors Williams, and they're talking about the physiological responses of anger in the body, which is the response of the sympathetic nervous system. And during this time, like what's happening is as that blood flow is increasing. Thank you for the parasympathetic relaxation. I take that as a compliment. As the blood flow is increasing, so the gentleman is just driving down the road. He's in his car. He's driving down the road, and he's been thinking about some things at work that are kind of stressful. Like he can get this bonus if he lands this client that's a difficult client. He's trying to make this happen, and so he's driving down the road, and this car like veers to cut him off, and he's sitting there in his car. I mean, it's just in his car. And the car that cut him off, it wasn't actually very close. It was just like, like people do sometimes. And so he's sitting there and he feels his heart rate increase. And he feels his heart rate increase and he feels when that happens, the blood flows through his veins more quickly. And when it does that, it causes microabrasions on the vessels. And so this is the beginning of atherosclerosis, because the body next is going to apply a Band-Aid of cholesterol, and that Band-Aid is going to eventually cause plaquing when this is done over time, so that the vessel gets smaller and smaller, constricted. What happens when it gets constricted? So if I'm watering my garden and I don't have my little nozzle for it and I have to do it by hand, and I use my thumb and I put it over the end of it, what happens?
The force gets harder.
Yeah, the force gets harder. So as that blood vessel constricts, then now the blood flows through and it's got
Pressure.
more force. Yeah, it's got more pressure. So now it's hitting the walls harder and harder. So this is the pathway to atherosclerosis, and it has happened by this gentleman just sitting in his car. Nothing else has happened. There is no saber-toothed tiger. But the stress that we put on ourselves causes physiological changes in the body that keep us from getting into this rest and relaxation state. So the other side of the nervous system, the parasympathetic nervous system, this is called the rest and digest phase. And the reason that that's really important is from my point of view, because I do a lot of work with digestive disorders, is because of the digest part of the phase. The belly, the enteric nervous system, goes directly to the digestion. So it has its own nervous system. In fact, it's been called a second brain in the body. It has its own nervous system. And when we're stressed out over here, and the sympathetic nervous system is amped up, blood does not flow to the enteric nervous system. So that's why the belly shuts down. And that's why when I don't get enough sleep, my belly doesn't work the way that I want it to. I know other people, they don't have this problem. Some people get headaches, some people get belly aches, some people meditate their way through and just elevate through. And I also, that is absolutely the best thing to do. It is a quote by Gandhi that he was presented with his schedule, and his assistant said, it is a very, very, very busy schedule today. You are seeing twice as many people as you usually do. And he says, I shall have to meditate twice as long. You have to be centered and grounded and focused in order to move through with all of this. Okay, so the rest and digest enteric nervous system. By the way, this is also called the breathe and feed nervous system, because you don't feel like getting jiggy with it if your energy is all out to your running away from your saber-toothed tiger, right? Like those things don't mix. Libido and running away from saber-toothed tigers are completely in contradiction, thank goodness, because otherwise it would be bad for our species. Okay, so now that you've had your introduction to the energy centers of the body, the next thing is that, so I'm going to teach you dowsing. I used to teach this in the other order. I used to teach energy measuring first, because I'm a firm believer in learn how to do it the analog way without the tools, but everybody likes the pendulums and they make sense to them. So we'll start with this. Okay, so I want you to grab your pendulum and let's see. This one likes you. She's a good user of it. May I? Yes, good. So for those of you who have used pendulums before, I'm going to be teaching you a very specific style. Please use this style for this class. Do not use any other style for this class. Do it this way. Do it exactly the way I tell you to. Thank you very much. And
Fight or flight.
yes. Okay. So we're all going to do this together. You may use whatever other way after you leave this class, but while we're in here, while we're doing this right now, please do it this way. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to train our pendulums to do yes. And so this yes is going to be back and forth. So you're going to take your hand and you're going to move your pendulum back and forth. You are physically making your pendulum move, moving your pendulum back and forth. Yes, this is yes. Absolutely. And while you're doing this, say the word yes. Thank you, Maria. Say the word yes.
Why you say maybe?
You are telling your pendulum. You are not asking your pendulum. You are telling your pendulum. You are training it right now.
Yes.
You tell your pendulum.
Yes. Yes. And it just moves things. So you don't have to-
Right now, we're training it. Right now, you move your pendulum. All of the people around you, they're very new, Maria. You are experienced. So the people around you, they're training right now. Okay, so that's yes. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go side to side, and this is no. And say the word no while you're doing this.
Mine keeps wanting to go to yes.
You are not asking your pendulum. You are telling your pendulum. This is the training time.
Yes. No.
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 There you go. Okay, good. So now we're going to test it. We're going to see where you are. So come back to center. And I want you to say the word yes.
Yes.
And this time you're not physically moving it, you are observing it.
Yes.
My science head does not wrap around.
You have many friends in this room. Yes, and by the way, scientifically, so I've read research. There's actually, this is called dowsing, and there's the dowsing organization, and they publish research on this. So one of the interesting things is that everybody can dowse.
Yes.
Everybody has the ability to do it. However, what makes the difference in accuracy is speed. So if you try to go too fast, you are likely to get inaccurate answers. So slow down for dowsing until you get good at it, and then you can go faster and faster.
What does it mean when it's going around?
No, it is yes is forward and back. You tell your pendulum if it is not doing what you told it to do, then retrain it. Yes.
Yes.
Be bossy.
Yes.
So when we're just sitting here listening to you, it's going in circles, it's just doing whatever it wants to do.
Right now, train it to do yes.
So you want me to continue to do yes while you're talking to me?
Yes.
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 It is excellent concentration exercise. Yes. 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 Is everybody getting yes?
It increases as we do it as a group.
Yes.
Yes.
Do you want me to stop moving it now and find out what it does?
Sure. Yes.
Yes.
So now test it. Test your yes.
Yes.
Doesn't move.
Wait.
Wait. I'm thinking, show me.
So don't think show me, just think yes. And think it with every cell of your being. This is like the orgasmic yes. This is not a, oh, yes kind of thing. This is like a yes! It's that kind of yes. I taught the Dowsing for Health class at Unity, and we had this really lovely group of ladies that when I said that and they all started practicing, like, it was fantastic.
Yeah, the old ladies, they,
Yeah, and they got it down. They got their hearts in it. Okay, is everybody getting yes? Yours is not moving. Okay, so sometimes pendulums can, like, whatever. If it's stagnant, take your pendulum and you're just gonna rotate it to the left. We'll talk about this in a moment. But basically right now what you're doing is you're like spinning it to clear any stuff off. And then you're gonna rotate to the right. Yep.
Okay.
Counterclockwise and then clockwise. Okay, And then you're going to come back to center. And yes.
Yes.
Is it moving it? Okay. I did something with this one. I'll try this one. And you don't need it to move a lot. You just need it to move. You just need to see it moving a little bit.
Has anyone ever made it do a full loop?
Yes.
Haven't tried. It's a great experiment.
Just thinking, I mean, you know, yes. Like, can it go all the way around?
That's getting pretty close. And then the other part of this is to relax. So I've practiced Tai Chi and Qigong for a long time now, 20 years. And the one thing that my grandmaster always said was relax. Yes, 2 words, relax and again. Again. And so the relaxation part is it's so easy, you know, like when we start Tai Chi practice, like, you know, you start here and it's like wood and everything was like really forced off, and I felt like I was being a really good student because I was paying very close attention and I was doing exactly how the instructor would. It was completely not relaxing. And so it wasn't until I relaxed and it shifted that then my energy shifted. So it's very easy whenever we're learning something new to be up in our heads because we're thinking about what we're learning. We had one of our students a couple of classes ago. She was here with her children, and she was trying to teach them, but in the process she was thinking about what she was doing, and so hers wouldn't work, but theirs did, and that was really frustrating for her. And then it got worse because she was like, okay, so the clearing is one thing. Let's try something else. So let's go to no. Test your no. So now you're saying the word no and you're observing the pendulum. And again, it doesn't need to move a lot. Good. Karen, you have good no.
No, I don't. I have a circle.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've been getting the whole time.
That's what you've been getting the whole time. Okay. So,
With yours and with mine.
okay. So
So it's me.
one more time. It's cleared so focus on this. By the way, all of you are going to have this experience at some point. In fact, over the last 48 hours, my body was doing some major energy releasing, and it like wonked all of my answers, which is really frustrating when you're in my line of work because I'm used to getting very strong intuitive answers, and I'm apparently an excellent decision maker, so I wasn't able to make any decisions for like the past kind of 48 hours. So this will happen to all of you at some point. At some point, something will interfere, and at some point, you won't get the answers that you're expecting to get. Actually, part of the reason that I preferred to teach energy measuring first is because it doesn't require the use of a tool. Because, like, what if I needed to do some work and I don't have my pendulum? Am I out? Am I just done? No, it's just a thing. It's just a tool. So right now, it's just like learning to play an instrument, right? It's learning those frequencies. And this is very useful for everybody because it's what happened to all of you. It happened to me in the last 2 days. So we're clearing, when we do this, we're clearing to test 100% accurately. By the way, when I was energy measuring myself, the way that I knew that I wasn't energy measuring accurately was because I would say the words, I am Cynthia, and I would get a no.
So
like
who were you?
I know, right? I just kept saying, I am Cynthia. Nope, you are not invited. Yeah. Talk about foundations being like, nah, no.
Having out of body experience.
Right?
Out of Cynthia experience.
Yep. Nope.
So
Not
we
allowed.
We can try saying someone else's name, then our name, and then watch and see if it modulates back to yes or no, yes or no, yes or no.
Well, dear,
Uh-oh.
you are very connected with the universe, and you may energetically be aware that you are in fact all people. So that might not give you a no.
Okay.
Good thought, though.
For most people, we have to do some energy work to get back there, but my sense is that you are already there, so
Okay.
if you can try it, let me know how it goes.
All right.
I think it's not going to work. Let me know.
It just goes in circles.
living body of work. Hey, there's some movement going on over there.
The no was harder to get.
Your no was harder. Okay.
You
And
must be a very positive person.
Elizabeth, how is your no doing?
Oh, my no's fine.
Your no is fine. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Not an option.
No.
Look at that. Okay.
All right. What's the status, Karen? What's it doing?
It's slightly more no than circular.
Okay. So we're all going to assist Karen now.
Okay.
This is the benefit of working in groups. You know that thing they say about like prayer in twos or more? There's a thing. It's a thing. So we're all going to assist, and what we're going to do is we're going to amplify Karen's yes. So we're all going to focus on yes. And Karen, your job is you're just going to hold this. You can think about a clear blue sky. You can think the word yes, whatever you like. But so we're all focusing on yes, and specifically focusing on sending that in the direction of Karen. Good. Okay, and Karen, would you please take and clear again? They're feisty, aren't they?